The right method is a system to get you writing. It can be used to draft a book, but it can also be used on short forms of writing like children's books and poetry. Let's talk about that today. I am not a poet, but I really admire people that have that gift and that talent. And if you are one of those, you can use the right method to craft your poetry. Or you could write poetry, you could write children's books, you could write short stories for children, you could write short stories for adults, or you could even use your writing to write short form content for books. And you can do all of that with the right method. The right method is simply a way to get you to sit down and do the writing. What you write is completely up to you. And even though I have presented the right method as a way to draft a book, that doesn't mean that book writing is all that you can do. If you could show up and write for 30 minutes a day, you could do lots of different kinds of writing. This week, we've already talked about academic writing and podcast writing, and now let's talk about short form writing. With poetry and other short forms of writing, it is less about the accumulation of words and more about how those words are crafted together. So that 30-minute mark might be a better goal to shoot for than trying to write 500 words. Now, you know your writing style the best, and there are probably some poets out there who might tell me that crafting a poem in 30 minutes is really a stretch. But I would just encourage you to try it, experiment, see if you can do it. It is more likely, if you're writing short form content, that you want to focus on the 30 minutes instead of the 500 words, because 500 words might be the entire work. If short form writing is your dream, then writing every day will make you more creative and give you more inspiration and ideas than sitting down and trying to do it in a chunk of time. Prolific writers write consistently. And for you, that may mean writing about 30 minutes a day. And finally, I want to say that 500 words and 30 minutes, they're not magical numbers. They're reasonable numbers that most people can fit in their busy schedules. But for you, if 45 minutes feels like the right amount of time and helps you to do your creative work and actually get a reasonable amount done, and you can fit 45 minutes into your schedule very consistently, then that's perfectly fine. Perhaps you have to write even faster, and 30 minutes is a stretch. Maybe 15 to 20 minutes is all you can manage. Well, these short form writing projects might be a way for you to get some writing done, even in a very short amount of time like that. So the numbers aren't magical, they're not perfect. Adapt them to fit your schedule. And I will tell you, what works today may not work next year or may not have worked last year. You change, your schedule changes, your responsibilities change. So do what works for you. The important thing is that you are writing consistently, and you'll see that you write more prolifically when you do. You might even surprise yourself with how much you can accomplish. And if you do write books, these short form projects may be a really nice thing to do in between book projects. So in the right method, I recommend that after you have drafted the last chapter, that you set aside the manuscript for a little bit to give you some time away from that project so you can come back and edit it with fresh eyes. But even though you've set aside that project, I still encourage you, if you want to be a prolific writer, to write every day. So these kinds of projects make good projects in between those bigger book writing projects. You could write ebooks, you can write picture books, any of those kinds of things that you could do, say, in a month. That's a great time to shift from a big book project into something that is smaller and usually more creative. I don't know about you, but I like to change things up a lot. And that's one way that I am able to do that. So, all you need to do is apply the right method, sit down for 30 minutes a day, and see what kind of short form writing you can do.